Welcome to the Pre to Post Transplant Podcast, a podcast that brings personal stories from transplant survivors, their families, friends, and loved ones. This is where you will hear challenges and triumphs of everyone involved in this journey. Our guests will offer wisdom, advice, and inspiration on everything you want to know about transplant. My name is Jenny McFarland. I am a transplant survivor, and this is a podcast I wish I had before and immediately following my transplant. Thank you for listening. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pre to Post Transplant Podcast, where you get to tell your side of the story. This is Jenny McFarland, your host. First, I want to remind you to please leave a rating and review for the podcast. That way it helps people find the podcast easier. And also, I want to remind you about the podcast website, which is www.pretopostTX.com, where you can go on there and you can listen to episodes. You can see a picture of most of the guests, or you can leave me a message with a topic suggestion or a comment about one of the other episodes, or you can request to be on the show. So I know it's been a little bit of time since my last episode, and I apologize for that. I just haven't had a chance to reach out and try to find some people to come on the show, except for my guest today, who's my very good friend. So that one was easy, but I'm trying to be consistent about my episodes with 2 episodes a month. But sometimes life happens and things get in the way and I just can't do it. So if you know of somebody who you think would be a great person to come on the podcast, just reach out to me and let me know, or have them reach out to me. It's always easier when somebody reaches out to me and I'm like, yes, come be on the show. So just send them my way, and that way I can try to get more people to interview and to have my episodes more consistent. Also, I just want to remind everybody about the foundation. Right now, the Pre to Post Transplant Foundation is having a fundraiser, and it's a virtual silent auction. And everybody in the country can get on there and bid on something. There's something for everybody. So take a look at our website at www.pretopost.org and see if there's anything that you think you can't live without, and you can bid on it. And it's a lot of fun, and once the auction ends at the end of the month, we'll ship your item if you win. So take a look, share it if you like, and hopefully there's something there that you want. So with that, let's talk about my guest today. This episode is technically an update episode. I had Jerry Ray Jr. on my podcast like when it first started. He was like guest number 3 or 4, and it was back in 2019, and we talked mostly about him meeting his donor family, and I didn't really get much into his transplants. So this episode is more of him talking about his transplant journey with his double lung, kidney, and then a pancreas transplant. So he's had three transplanted organs, which is fascinating for me. So Jerry Ray is a very good friend of mine, and he has a great story, and I know you're going to love it just like me. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So if you could just help me welcome my very, very good friend, Jerry Ray Jr. Hi, Jerry. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
So it's been so long since you've been here. It was November of 2019 that you were here. So
wow.
That's when I first started this podcast. So I'm so happy to have you back. And when we talked before, we really only talked about meeting your donor family. So I want to get an update on that, and I also want to talk about both of your transplant journeys. So typically when I have a guest come back on, it's an update episode. And this time it's a little different because I want to learn more about what you went through with both of your transplants. So first, let me have an update on your donor family. Do you still keep in touch with them or talk to them
I don't communicate much with them right now because still they speak Spanish and I can't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So the only way we really communicate is through Facebook, and just when they post stuff and I post stuff, we comment to each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's about all.
So when I talked to you before, I had written my letter, but I hadn't heard from my family yet. And then years later, comes to find out that they never got my letter, for one. And two,
Oh,
I found out that they are Spanish speaking only, just like yours. So I
yeah.
haven't written them again, and I hate to admit it, but it kind of put a little not disappointment, but I just feel bad that I'm not going to be able to speak to them, like, like you can't talk to your donor family. And so I'm just a little bit nervous whenever I do get to meet them, if I ever do, because I won't be able to tell them how I'm feeling.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm hoping that, of course, they have somebody there that speaks English that can translate, but I feel like it's probably, and you're the best person to ask, like, is it a little bit different because when you met them, you couldn't really, like, there was somebody interpreting for you, so you couldn't really, like, really talk to them about how you were feeling, or, like, did you feel like it was, like, a little disappointing that you couldn't, like, express how you were feeling directly to them rather than to the translator?
Yeah, kind of in a way, because her daughter was the actual translator for us,
Yeah.
and she basically told her everything, and I believe she felt everything that I was feeling at the time, because emotions were flying. We were both crying and everything else.
Yeah.
So I mean, I believe
Yeah.
she understood it, and she knew what was going on, and she was fairly had everything was communicated well because it was her daughter.
Yeah. Do you think that you guys would communicate more if that language barrier wasn't there, like, rather
Oh,
than just on
totally.
Facebook? Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I worry about. So I'm gonna write another letter eventually. It's just hard, So the first one was hard and I gotta do it all over again. But
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, okay. So let's talk about all of your transplants, because you had, like, so many organs transplanted. 3 total.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
tell me about your first one with your lungs and your kidneys.
Okay.
Or is it both kidneys or just one kidney?
Just one kidney is all I received, and it's doing well right now. But as far as that was a while back. It'd be 7 years this year already. Come
Wow.
December, yeah,
Yeah.
come December, it'd be 7 years. But
Wow. Yeah. I'm getting ready to come up on my 5th year anniversary. So I feel like I
time
made it that
flies.
5 years with the statistics, so
Yes,
happy.
ma'am. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's it was amazing. That's all I can say. Basically, is I'm glad I received it, and I was totally blessed from my donor family, and receiving it. It was a miracle altogether to me,
Yeah.
and because it just took no time at all. It didn't seem like, because it was like a month to the day is the day I got the call for the transplant. So
Wow. A month to the day that you went on the list?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. Um,
yeah,
so you have cystic fibrosis. So
yes.
I'm curious to know more about, usually when you have cystic fibrosis, you just have the lung transplant. But what happened with your kidney that
The
required
reason,
you?
okay, the reason that I needed the kidney also was because my kidneys had already wore out from an overdose of antibiotics.
Oh,
Because I had been overdosed on tobramycin a few times, more
those
than
are,
once, and it damaged my kidneys really, really, really bad. So they knew that I probably need a kidney transplant, because my kidneys wasn't functioning at 100% around the time. Because a year before my transplant, I had to be put on dialysis for a day because I had swelled up so much, retained so much fluid, and it didn't stay. My kidney function kept going down from there. So they knew by the time I needed lungs that I needed a kidney also.
oh, wow. So that's interesting with the tobramycin, because every CF patient takes tobramycin. It's just a given.
Right.
So how'd they overdose you? Like, did they not know that that they were doing that? Like, was it an accident or?
I believe it was an accident in a way. And it actually caused me to go deaf in my right ear, actually, too,
Yeah.
when this happened. And
Oh, wow.
it was just one of the things that happened.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of hearing from Toby. Um,
Yeah.
I wear hearing aids now. Finally, I got some. They took forever to
Uh-huh.
give them to me, but before my transplant, I was already losing my hearing, and they thought it was from the tobramycin.
Yes, ma'am.
So before my transplant, they actually took me off of tobramycin. They wouldn't let me take it anymore because of the hearing problem. And
Right. I
then
don't
I
take it
moved to
anymore either.
yeah, I moved to Houston, and they put me back on tobramycin. So because it was really the only thing that would be helpful because I was so sick. So they're like, well, it's the hearing or your lungs. So I was like, well,
Right.
give it back to me. So, but yeah, I lost some hearing because of tobramycin. So,
Yep.
but yeah, they never overdosed me. I don't think. I mean, how did they know that it was an overdose just because of the kidney problem? Did they
Just
say,
watching the kidney function is all they need to watch.
oh yeah, wow, that's crazy. I did not know that. I didn't know that could happen. But okay, all right.
Yeah.
So were you like annoyed by that or mad
Oh,
about it or
totally.
yeah?
I mean, I didn't want it to happen, and it did.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was just because, like, I remember the time that I lost my hearing didn't actually go out like during the tune-up that I was having. It wasn't
yeah,
for like a day or so later, and I went back for a follow-up visit with my doctor, and I told her I couldn't hear anymore. So then, at my right ear, and she made all these appointments and stuff to go find out what happened and all this stuff. And I told her it happened during the hospital stay, I assume, because they
yeah.
didn't know they did it either.
Wow, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. I've
Yeah.
never even heard of that before. It's funny how I learn
Yep.
something new every time I do that.
Yep.
Okay. So, well, I mean, you got your transplant and your lungs are good and your kidneys good, except for your hearing never recovered, which it
Right.
wouldn't. But yeah, so you're going along, you're doing great, and then what happens with your pancreas?
Okay. I was already a diabetic. I've been a diabetic since around 1990. So it was, I can't even think of the year right now, but right after my transplant, it was probably about 2 years later, 2 or 3 years. No, it's 2 years later. 2 years later, I had a diabetic reaction on the road while driving.
Oh no.
And yeah, that was something that actually was a miracle in itself too,
Yeah.
because I didn't realize anything happened until I woke up in the back of an ambulance and they told me everything that happened.
Oh my
The
gosh.
There's police. They had 5 police cars chasing me. They thought I was a drunk. They said I was weaving all over the road. And when they got behind me to pull me over, I actually pulled over to the side of the road for them. And I don't remember any of it.
Wow. Wow. So nobody got
Yes.
hurt then. You
It
didn't
was,
get.
it was scary. It was scary. And then I kept driving because then I was on the insulin pump at that time.
Uh-huh.
And the insulin pump had, I know there's a lawsuit about it right now. With one
Yeah.
of them, it was I can't even remember the name on it because I've been off of it so long already. But that insulin pump was giving too much insulin at the time. And I ended up having another one in my car. And I ended up driving through a fence and into a field.
Oh my
So that's 2
gosh.
accidents.
Yeah.
So the doctor said, well, we got to do something about that. Maybe we can talk about it, getting a pancreas transplant. So I went and seen the doctors at Methodist because Baylor St. Luke's didn't do pancreas transplants at the time.
Mhm.
So I went to Methodist and talked to the lung people about being able to switch over to them or staying with St. Luke's and then being with them as far as being the pancreas side of it. And
Yeah.
they okayed all that. And then after that, we went ahead and I started going through the evaluations for the pancreas.
And then, but you never switched your lung care to Methodist.
No, I never changed it because I trusted St. Luke's, the doctors that were at St. Luke's that I had through transplant because I liked them so much. And
Yeah.
I trusted them. I mean, they got me through everything the way that I did and everything. And then once I was evaluated, I was automatically pretty much accepted because of my organs. They would say it would help my other organs, make them
Yeah.
stay with me longer. So I went through evaluation, got through that, and I was accepted, was put on the list. But then come to find out that they went ahead and deactivated me because I was overweight. I had gained too
Oh,
much weight.
okay.
So I was inactive for about a year. And then I had to lose 40 pounds. So I lost the 40 pounds. That was the easy part. And then I was put back on the list in August of 2019. And then October 1st is when I got the call and I headed down and got my pancreas.
Yeah, I think when I met you in person for the first time, you were on the list waiting for a call or
Right.
whatever. Yeah,
Yep.
I
Yep.
remember that. So,
Yep.
okay, so let me ask you this. So, I've heard a lot of people, in fact, I even did an episode on it where insurance has a really hard time paying for a pancreas transplant on its own. So you didn't
Right.
have any issues with that? Is that because you already had a lung transplant and a kidney transplant? Do you
I
know?
believe it was. I
Yeah.
believe it was. Yeah. It seemed like I had to, because Methodist their billing is different than St. Luke's. I had to end up paying more for the pancreas transplant than I did for my kidney and lungs because all I
Oh,
had was Medicare. I had Medicare Advantage plan. Is all I had.
uh-huh.
So
Wow, that seems crazy, right? You mean you
yeah,
had to pay out of pocket? It doesn't necessarily mean it
yeah,
costs
out of
more.
pocket.
Okay.
I'm still paying for the pancreas transplant right now, still to date.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
That's too bad. It really
And
sucks,
it'll be
actually.
4 years. It'll be 4 years from 4 years, right? Yeah, four. Come
Yeah.
October.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother episode that I could get on that about. And I won't do that now, but that's crazy.
Right.
Okay, so just a quick question about the pancreas before when you had that accident and then when you were pulled over by the cops. Were you like nervous to drive after that? Like thinking that
Oh,
like that might happen again?
oh, totally. Yeah, it scared the crap out of me.
I
No
bet.
offense, but
Yeah.
uh, I had to drive. I mean, that's something I said I never wasn't going to give up. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I was accepted for the pancreas, or else I wouldn't be driving now.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine like being terrified of driving because you're afraid your body's gonna go into
Yep,
a yeah. That's crazy. So now, 4 years later, how's everything going?
I'm fat.
Well, you
Yeah.
know how to lose the 40 pounds. You've done it before.
Well, that's the hard part. Now that I got the pancreas, it won't go away. I can't lose the weight.
But you
So
just said it was the easy part before.
it was easy before the pancreas. Now that I've got the pancreas and it's working, I can't lose the weight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
a
I have
struggle.
a functioning pancreas, so the weight doesn't come off like with one that doesn't function,
Yeah.
which was crazy. But right now, they just this week I started on Monjarno to help me try to lose the weight that I need to lose because
Okay.
I have some hernia going on. So I
Yeah.
need to have an operation to really reduce the hernia that I have.
I don't envy you for that. Like, good luck with
Yeah,
that. Like, that's gonna
yeah,
suck, just so you know.
yep,
But yeah, yeah. It's hard. Like a lot of transplant recipients have a hard time with weight after. I'm going through a little something myself, but you could do it. I know you can do it. You will do
yep.
it. You just have to have the
I'm
determination.
trying.
So that new medicine you've only been on it a week, so you haven't really noticed anything yet.
No, I haven't noticed anything yet, and I have to watch it really, really close because of my pancreas. Everything Monjarno causes pancreatitis, and they said they would treat me if I ended up getting pancreatitis. They would end up treating me for rejection because of that. So I have to watch it real close. So they're going to be watching it. My blood labs are going to be drawn every month, like I've been doing, but it's going to be a closer watch. I'm going to have to send it to 3 different doctors. I have to send it to my lung transplant team, my diabetic doctor, and my pancreas transplant team. So those 3 doctors, I'll be watching my labs for now
Yeah.
on until every time they say that the dosage goes up on the Monjarno, I'm starting at the lowest dose, and then they gradually move you up on the dosage.
Mhm.
And they every time I move up, they're going to have to watch it really, really close.
Oh yeah. Do you find it hard to navigate between the two hospitals with your transplant? Like, you got Methodist saying one thing and St. Luke saying another. Like, is it ever like a conflict? Like, do they ever like know this? Like,
There's
especially
often
with
a
like
conflict.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
A lack of communication. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, I'm
Because they
sure.
don't like to communicate together, which is
Yeah.
weird. You would think they would be able. They have my chart. Both of them have my chart, so they communicate that way. But when it comes to talking to each other, they don't like to talk to each other.
It's
It's crazy.
weird, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're doctors. You would think they would enjoy talking to each other
Yeah.
about a certain patient or whatever, but no, they kind of conflict sometimes because the pancreas team would want to move up my prograph level, and the other team were like, no, it's good where it's at, so keep it there. And because they're the main ones, I have to go with the lung transplant people.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was in the hospital before transplant, I was in the ICU and I was on like super high flow oxygen, and it was like I had the mask on and everything, and one doctor would come in and turn it up, and then like there's like two doctors, like the floor doctor and then another, not a lung doctor, but another doctor of something, I can't even remember. He would come turn it down. And it went on like that for 3 days. And I was like, you guys need to communicate because this is ridiculous.
Right.
Doctors, they just don't like to communicate with each other. I think yeah. It was insane. So, okay. Well, I'm glad that, your lungs and your kidney and your pancreas are all doing great now. And hopefully, you get to live another 50 years on all that.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's what I'm praying for.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Jerry. I'm so glad that you came on to talk about this, and I'm glad that we're friends, and I'm glad that I know you because I follow you a lot on Facebook, and you're just inspiring and everything that you post. So,
thank you.
I'll let you go. I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing your story, and I'm glad that you're doing so well. And maybe in 5 years, if this podcast is still going, you can come back and tell us how you're doing.
I'm glad you're doing the podcast. That's awesome. And thank you for teaching me how to do Zoom.
Oh, you are welcome. And I'm glad now you know. So now you can Zoom all the time.
Right?
Although there's not as many Zooms.
Don't tell my doctors that I know how to do it now.
Oh, okay. It's a secret.
All right. Thank you.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Pre to Post Transplant Podcast. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Facebook. Oh, and if you have not signed up to be an organ donor, please visit www.organdonor.gov and register today. You too can save lives.